everyone. Welcome to your time management lecture part two. Last week, you guys participated in a time tracking assignment to see where you are spending your time and how you are spending your time. So, one of the assignments that you guys are asked to do this week is your weekly planner and figuring out how to manage your time and balance all of your priorities. So, we left off here last week with our time management lecture part one and how to get the most out of study time. And so I had mentioned at the end of the last lecture that it's really important to schedule your study time. And that's what you guys are going to be doing with your weekly planner assignment this week. You should have 2 hours per week for every unit that you are taking. So multiply 2 times however many units you are taking for that class, and that's how many hours you should be studying or doing your assignments for that course. Okay, so that should be one of the first things that you work on this week to finish up our discussion on time management. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of time management is procrastination. So, a lot of us really struggle with procrastination. I am guilty of being someone who is a procrastinator. And so, I wanted to offer some tips to you and some techniques on how to improve your procrastination. So, the first thing to do is to break large tasks into smaller ones. Often, when we have a really big assignment or task that we need to complete, we become very overwhelmed. And that's why we put it off. And we wait and we wait and we wait because we don't want to be faced with this overwhelming task. So, one thing that you can do is, like you would in your weekly planner, take that task and kind of set mini goals for yourself. Um, do little pieces of the assignment at a time. Let's say that you have an essay and you need to write 3 pages in a week. You could make a goal to write half a page every day. And so you could write that down in a planner. And so that would take you 6 days to get to your 3 pages. And then on day 7, maybe the day before the day that the assignment is due, that's when you could do your revisions. Okay. We also need to work for realistic periods of time. So, no study marathons around here. And we'll talk about later in the course why study marathons, studying for hours and hours on end, is really not effective. You really have to know yourself and know how long you can focus. Is it 10 minutes? 15, 20, 25, 30. And so you may have to kind of test yourself and see where you are easily getting distracted. You may even look at your time tracker assignment from last week and see how long you were spending on your assignments before you went and you did another task. Also, make sure that you are setting realistic goals for yourself. Try not to overcommit, and that can be difficult for some people who have a hard time saying no. Um, those of you who are perfectionists, trust me, I'm a perfectionist too, so I know how you feel, but perfection is not always necessary. There are times when you need to do everything correctly. But there are other times when you don't have to spend hours upon hours upon hours making your assignment perfect. And so you really just have to figure out what tasks require perfection or, that kind of diligence and which ones you don't need to strive for perfection. Okay. So just try not to overcommit yourself, especially with extracurriculars and activities and things like that. It's okay to say no. I think we talked about that last week. So make sure that you are setting aside enough time to get your work done so that you can avoid procrastination. Another suggestion for you is to study when your energy level is at its highest. So, for me personally, I am not a morning person. And so, I do my work best in the afternoon or even later in the evening. So try to mix up your activities. Figure out when your energy level is the highest. Are you a morning person? Are you a mid-afternoon person? Are you an evening person? And try to mix it up. Alternate your subjects. Maybe start with something that is more difficult. Many of you in your intro letters, mentioned difficult classes that you're taking. Start with those. And then do something that's a little bit easier or maybe more enjoyable. Maybe there's this reading that you really don't want to do. Try to just get that out of the way. And so it really just depends. And that's what the unless is here on the slide. Unless XYZ, there are always different circumstances. And so you really have to figure out what works for you. And that's what this class is about. It's about you and your learning preferences. And then, of course, stop procrastinating because it's that easy. And you guys are going to practice this with the procrastination diet assignment where you will reward yourself for not procrastinating. So if you guys have any questions on that assignment, please don't hesitate to reach out. And this concludes our lecture and our session on time management.